Hello wine lovers, welcome to our channel Uncorked. Today I'm here to talk to you about how to taste wine like a pro. Stick around, grab a glass or two, and we'll get right to it. So today I have with me a sample of one of our red wines. And I'm going to go through the technique used by wine professionals on this video to taste a wine at its full capacity. The first thing you're looking for is you use the five senses. Let's be clear about that. You use all five senses. So the first thing you're looking for is with sight. And you're looking to see, okay, what is the color of the wine? That's number one. You're also looking to see what is, if anything, the residue that seems to be, or this film that seems to form on the top of the glass. Now, unfortunately, I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but if any wine will provide this, obviously, the higher the viscosity, aka alcohol or sugar content, the more you will see these types of very, very faint arches that form along the edge of the wine. This is an indication of the volume of alcohol of the product or the amount of residual sugar. That's the first clue that you use your eyes for. Second one, obviously I already mentioned, is color. Is it a clear wine? Is it a white wine? Is it a red wine? Can you look through it? That kind of observation is what you're looking for. The next one, obviously, is the most exciting one, and that involves your sense of smell. And the sense of smell is basically where you're getting the majority of the flavors from. If you'd like to check out some of our previous videos on how wines get their flavor on this channel. So here goes to it. And what you're doing is you're trying to get your nose into the glass as much as possible. I will also point out that this specific glass is a standard wine tasting glass, certified so by the industry, and it is very, very important for us here at King's Court because that's how we test our wines in the cellar to make sure they are up to par and are performing as well as they should. Now again, you should be getting notes of probably fruits. You should be getting notes of some citrus, possibly something fruity is ideally what you're looking for. There are more complex names for these compounds, but that's not the purpose of this video. We don't need you spouting off polyphenol names as you're explaining a wine flavoring to your friends. So the next part of your senses that you're using is your palate or your taste. And again, this one is almost as important as your sense of smell. Taste specifically, you'll get a whole range of things. So for those of you that can think back to grade 9 or grade 10 science class, think back to the image of your tongue. We'll pop one up on the screen for you right now. And the tongue basically identifies 5 different flavors. Those are sweetness, those are salty, sour, bitter, and then the 5th one, which a lot of people are not too familiar with, is umami. Obviously, the first 4 don't need a heck of a lot of explanation. I'll just talk a little bit about umami. That is basically a meat type flavor or a protein type flavor. It's the simplest and easiest way to explain it. And the easiest way to taste it is if you've ever had something like Vegemite or that is essentially pure umami in its most concentrated form possible. Not for the faint of heart, I gotta give it to you. So anyways, getting back to actually tasting the wine, the flavors that you're looking for with your tongue are basically, is it sweet? Is it sour? That's number 1. Number 2, does it have any heavy weight to it? Now this is usually described in wine terms as the body of a wine. And so what you're looking for when you put it on your mouth is, does the wine feel like it's actually pushing your tongue down, or is it kind of like light and airy and it's kind of like flowing like cotton candy? You can't really sense it. It's just there and it's gone. That's what they mean by body. The other one, obviously sweetness, doesn't need a heck of a lot of explanation. Tannins is another flavor that you usually sense on your tongue, and this is the bitter components of the grape skins and the grape seeds that are extracted during the regular fermentation process. This is primarily the case in red wines, not so much in white wines. Some rosés do have a little bit of tannins, and obviously the new orange wines do have quite a few tannins as well. Check out our previous video on orange wines for more detailed explanation on that. Acidity is the other one that you should be getting also on your tongue. Again, I explained that a little bit with the sweet and the sour a little bit earlier. You should be able to sense that without too much of my help in that sense. And then the final thing is the additional flavors. Again, this goes back to the bouquet of the wine, and this is what you sense in your palate as well as your olfactory nerves or your nose. Now, the final sense that is actually activated in how to taste a wine is temperature. And this is, again, where your mouth comes in. So if you hold the wine in your palate for a little bit of time, it will warm up. It'll get to the temperature of your body. And that is obviously warmer than the wine that you're drinking, because if you were drinking wine that warm, well, yeah, never mind. It wouldn't be very pleasant, to say the least. It's essentially what you're doing is you're forcing a lot of the, with the temperature of your body, you're forcing a lot of the volatile organic compounds or the flavors of the wine to start off gassing in your mouth, which is ideal because that's where you have all your senses for flavors. And that's where you get those additional flavors on the palate. A lot of people need a little bit of training and experience in order to properly identify those flavors, and you can do that by taking wine courses or watching some more of our videos and obviously drinking a lot more. I will say though that the only real way to do this is to experience it. And what I mean by that, it's very difficult for me as an example to explain to you what a lemon tastes like if you've never tasted a lemon. It's sour, but if you don't know what sour is, yeah, you get the point. It's basically a very personal experience that you will develop over time, and that's how you develop your palate in industry lingo. So without much further ado, I'm going to actually do everything I just said. Okay. So there's two things I also want to make mention of, and that is the swirl. This is very important because what you're doing is you're allowing oxygen to get into the wine, which helps aerate some of those volatile organic compounds or the flavors of the wine, which makes them more perceptible to the human nose. The final one that I did was, you probably heard it more than you actually may have seen it, what is affectionately referred to in the wine industry as the slurp of the wine. And what you're doing is you're forcing air to come up into your mouth through the wine, and what happens is the air keeps traveling. It keeps going to the back of your throat, up to your nerve endings in your nose, and that's where you sense all those lovely fruit characteristics. And that's part of the tasting. It's part of the wine flavor, which is why it's so important to slurp the wine, because you really get the full experience of the wine as it can possibly be expressed. Well, folks, that's it for today. I hope you enjoy your wine tastings a lot more after watching this. Please drop us a like and ask us any questions. We're happy to hear and respond to your comments, and look forward to seeing you again next time. Cheers for now.